Welcome back to the English Hour, where we dive into the conversations that really matter. I'm your host, Sophia. And today we're going to talk about something most of us do way too much of: overthinking.
Oh, yes? I'm already overthinking what I'm about to say about overthinking.
That's such a perfect start. Honestly, it's one of those habits that feels harmless, even productive sometimes, but can totally drain us.
Absolutely. We think we're solving problems, but often we're just creating more mental chaos. Replaying scenarios, analyzing texts, questioning decisions that can't be changed, it's exhausting.
It really is. And I think what makes it tricky is that overthinking feels like you're being responsible, like you're covering every possible outcome.
Right? You feel like you're being thorough, but what you're really doing is delaying action. It becomes a trap.
Have you noticed that overthinking often shows up most when we care the most?
That's a good point. We overthink the things that matter to us: relationships, career moves, big life decisions. It's like our brains go into overdrive trying to protect us from making the wrong choice.
Yes, but the irony is, the longer we stay in that loop, the harder it is to decide anything. Decision fatigue kicks in.
That's real. You spend so much energy weighing every angle that you have none left to actually choose. Sometimes even choosing dinner feels impossible after a long day of mental back and forth.
Haha, that's me every night scrolling food apps for 45 minutes and then settling for toast.
Same, it's like our brains are trying to micromanage our lives, but at the cost of our peace.
So true. And I've noticed that when I try to predict everything, I'm not actually living in the present. I'm living in a bunch of what ifs.
Exactly. Overthinking pulls us out of the moment. We're stuck in imaginary futures or revisiting old conversations we can't change.
It's almost like we think if we just analyze enough, we'll find certainty. But that's the thing: life is uncertain. Always has been.
Yes, and trying to outthink uncertainty just leads to more anxiety. It's like trying to catch fog with your hands.
That's such a beautiful metaphor. So what helps you when you notice yourself spiraling into overthinking?
First, I try to catch it early. Just naming it, oh, I'm overthinking again, can interrupt the loop a bit. Then I ask myself, is this helping me or hurting me?
That's such a good question. Because not all thinking is bad, but it crosses a line when it becomes obsessive.
Totally. And I've learned that clarity often comes after action, not before. So instead of waiting until I feel 100% ready, I just take a small step.
Yes, action breeds clarity. Sometimes making a decision, any decision, is better than staying stuck.
And here's the wild part. Most of the things I worried about never even happen. I wasted hours preparing for problems that didn't exist.
That's such a human thing. We're wired to protect ourselves. But sometimes our brain doesn't know the difference between a real threat and an imagined one.
Exactly. Our nervous systems get activated as if we're in danger, but we're just sitting on the couch thinking about that email we sent 3 days ago.
Haha, that's painfully accurate. So how do we break that cycle? How do we learn to live more in the present?
One thing that helps me is grounding, just tuning into my senses. What can I see, hear, feel right now? It brings me back to the here and now.
I love that. I do something similar, just placing my hand on my chest, taking a breath, and reminding myself, I'm safe right now.
That's powerful. Because overthinking is often your brain trying to protect you. So when you show it that you're safe, it starts to calm down.
That's such a good reframe. Instead of fighting your thoughts, you comfort the part of you that's scared.
Exactly. It's like being your own safe space. And when you treat yourself with kindness instead of judgment, everything shifts.
That's such an important reminder. Because overthinking isn't a flaw, it's a signal that you need to slow down and reconnect.
Yes, and instead of trying to think your way out of it, sometimes the answer is to feel your way through it.
That's deep. And real. Okay, Jacob, let's keep going deeper into this. Let's talk about decision making next, why it feels so hard in today's world, and how we can trust ourselves more.
Oh, I'm ready. Decision making in the age of endless options is a whole topic on its own.
Absolutely. Let's dive into that. So, Decision making today feels so overwhelming because we have so many options. Whether it's what career path to take, where to live, or even what app to use, it can be paralyzing.
Yeah, this is called the paradox of choice. When you have too many options, instead of feeling free, you feel trapped and stressed. Our brains just weren't built for infinite choices.
That makes so much sense. I notice sometimes I spend hours researching, comparing, trying to find the perfect option, and then I end up confused and stuck.
And that perfect option might not even exist. We set these impossibly high standards for our decisions, thinking if we don't pick perfectly, we'll fail.
Yes, that's where perfectionism sneaks in and ties back to overthinking. We think there's one right answer, but life is messy.
Life is messy, and decisions are often made in uncertainty. The truth is, most decisions are reversible or adjustable. We don't have to get it right the first time.
That's so freeing to hear. It's like permission to experiment and learn as we go.
Exactly. When we treat decisions as experiments instead of life or death moments, the pressure eases.
So, how do you personally approach big decisions? Do you have a process?
I do. I start by clarifying my values, what's most important to me in this situation. Then I set a deadline so I don't ruminate forever. Finally, I make a decision and commit to it for a set period before reevaluating.
I love that, values as a compass, and deadlines to keep from overthinking.
Right? It's about giving yourself structure and grace. You don't have to have all the answers before you start.
That's such a great framework. And it probably reduces decision fatigue, too.
Definitely. When you decide with intention but don't obsess, you conserve your mental energy.
Speaking of conserving energy, I want to touch on the importance of self-trust. So many of us second guess ourselves constantly.
Self-trust is huge. Without it, every decision feels scary because we don't believe in our own judgment.
How do you build self-trust, especially if it's been shaky?
It starts with small promises to yourself, showing up, doing what you say you will, and forgiving yourself when you slip.
That's so simple yet powerful. It's like training a muscle.
Exactly. Self-trust is a muscle that grows stronger each time you choose yourself and your values over fear or doubt.
And it sounds like it connects back to being present and mindful, too.
For sure, mindfulness helps you notice your inner critic without letting it control you. It creates space for kindness and clarity.
So many tools connected: mindfulness, grounding, value clarification, deadlines. It's a whole toolkit for mental wellness.
Yes, and the key is to practice regularly, not just when you're in crisis.
Daily practice makes sense. I know for me, even 5 minutes of focused breathing can reset my mindset.
Same here. And journaling helps too, writing down your thoughts to release mental clutter.
I want to ask you about the fear of making the wrong choice. It's so common. How do you manage that fear?
I remind myself that wrong is a concept we make up. Life is about learning and growth, not perfection.
That's so refreshing. It takes the pressure off when you see mistakes as lessons.
Exactly. When you shift your perspective, fear loses its grip.
This conversation is so rich already. I'm excited to keep going. Should we explore how these ideas apply to relationships next?
Perfect. Relationships bring their own kind of decision fatigue and overthinking, for sure.
Let's go deeper into relationships then. They're definitely a hotspot for overthinking and tough decisions.
Absolutely. Relationships can be so complex because they involve another person's feelings, expectations, and behaviors, not just our own.
Right. And when you add overthinking, it's easy to misinterpret signals or create stories in your head that may not be true.
Yes, like reading into a text message for hours, wondering what the tone really meant, or if they're upset.
Oh, I've been guilty of that so many times. Sometimes I imagine whole scenarios that never happened.
And that leads to unnecessary stress and conflict. It's like we put our minds in overdrive trying to protect the relationship, but ironically we strain it.
So, how do you handle those moments when your mind starts spiraling about someone's behavior?
I try to pause and check in with myself. Am I assuming the worst? What evidence do I really have? And sometimes I remind myself to communicate openly rather than guess.
Communication is key. But it's scary sometimes to be vulnerable and ask questions directly.
It is. But vulnerability builds trust and clears up misunderstandings faster than silent worrying.
That's true. And I guess it circles back to self trust and trusting the relationship itself.
Exactly. Trusting yourself to handle the conversation and trusting the other person to respond honestly.
That takes courage, but it sounds so necessary for healthy relationships.
It really is. And it helps break the cycle of overthinking because you're dealing with reality instead of assumptions.
What about decision making in relationships? Like deciding whether to stay, move on, or set boundaries.
Those are some of the hardest decisions. But again, I'd start with values: what do you need and deserve? And then observe whether the relationship aligns with those.
That's a powerful filter. Sometimes emotions cloud judgment.
For sure, emotions are important, but values give us a stable foundation to evaluate the relationship.
And setting boundaries is often misunderstood. Right? People see it as harsh, but really it's about self-respect.
Yes, boundaries protect your energy and communicate what's okay and what's not.
And healthy boundaries can actually improve relationships by creating clear expectations.
Exactly. They prevent resentment from building up and help both people feel safe.
This conversation is so relatable. I think many listeners struggle with these exact issues.
Me too. That's why talking about it openly helps. It normalizes the experience.
And it encourages us to be kinder to ourselves when we overthink or feel stuck.
Definitely. Self-compassion is the foundation for all of this growth.
Let's take this further next by discussing mindfulness techniques that can help manage overthinking and emotional overwhelm in real time.
Perfect. Mindfulness is like the anchor we need in these turbulent moments.
Absolutely. I can't wait to share some practical exercises with our listeners.
Same here. Let's keep going.
Yes, definitely. Mindfulness is such a powerful tool, but many people don't know where to start. Could you explain what mindfulness really means in simple terms?
Sure, mindfulness is basically the practice of paying full attention to the present moment without judgment. It's about noticing what's happening inside and outside you right now, instead of getting lost in worries about the past or future.
That sounds simple but also challenging, because our minds are so busy all the time.
Exactly, it's a skill that takes practice. But even a few moments of mindfulness can help calm racing thoughts and bring clarity.
What are some easy ways people can start practicing mindfulness in their daily lives?
One simple technique is the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding exercise. You identify 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste. It brings your attention to the present.
I love that. It's like a quick reset when you feel overwhelmed.
Yes, and it's practical. You can do it anywhere. Another method is mindful breathing, just focusing on your breath going in and out.
Breathing is such a natural thing, but most of us don't pay attention to it.
Right? When you focus on your breath, it slows your nervous system down and reduces anxiety.
What about mindfulness during conversations or decision making?
Great question. You can practice mindful listening by fully focusing on the other person's words without planning your response or judgment. It deepens connection and understanding.
That's a game changer. And for decision making,
You can pause, take a few mindful breaths before responding or deciding to clear your mind from noise and get in touch with your intuition.
I imagine that helps prevent impulsive or fear-driven choices.
Absolutely. It creates space between stimulus and reaction, giving you control.
Are there common pitfalls people should watch out for when starting mindfulness practice?
Yes, expecting immediate perfection or a quiet mind all the time. Mindfulness is about observing whatever happens, even a busy mind, with kindness.
That's so important. Being gentle with yourself is part of the process.
For sure. Also, consistency matters more than duration. Even short daily practice builds the habit.
This is incredibly helpful. Do you recommend any apps or resources for beginners?
There are many good apps like Headspace, Calm, and Insight Timer that offer guided meditations. But honestly, you can start with simple breathing exercises on your own.
That makes mindfulness accessible for everyone. I'm curious, how has mindfulness personally impacted your life?
It's transformed how I handle stress and relationships. I'm more present, less reactive, and more compassionate with myself and others.
That's beautiful. When you're mindful, life feels richer, doesn't it?
Definitely. You notice the small moments of joy and connection that often go unnoticed.
I can't wait to try these practices myself and share them with our listeners.
They'll thank you for it, and remember, it's a journey, not a destination.
Well said. Shall we move on to exploring specific mindfulness exercises our listeners can try right now?
Let's do it.
Great. Let's start with a simple breathing exercise that anyone can do anytime.
Perfect. So, find a comfortable seated position, sit up straight but relaxed. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable.
Now, take a slow, deep breath in through your nose, counting to 4.
Hold the breath gently for a count of 4.
Then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6.
Repeat this cycle 5 times, focusing fully on the sensation of your breath entering and leaving your body.
Feel the air filling your lungs, and as you exhale, imagine any tension melting away.
If your mind wanders, gently bring your attention back to your breath, no judgment.
This exercise calms the nervous system and can be done anytime you feel stressed or overwhelmed.
Next, let's try a body scan meditation to deepen your awareness.
For this, lie down or sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths to relax.
Slowly bring your attention to your feet. Notice any sensations: warmth, tingling, pressure.
Without trying to change anything, just observe.
Gradually move your focus up your legs, hips, abdomen, chest, arms, neck, and finally your head.
At each spot, notice tension or relaxation, tightness or ease.
This helps you connect with your body and release areas of stress.
Another mindfulness practice is mindful walking.
Yes, when you walk, pay full attention to each step. Feel the ground under your feet, notice your movements.
Listen to the sounds around you, the breeze on your skin.
It's a wonderful way to be present, especially if sitting meditation feels hard.
I love that. It shows mindfulness isn't just sitting still, it's about presence in any activity.
Exactly. Mindfulness is a way of being, not just something you do.
For our listeners, I'd suggest trying each of these exercises daily, even for just a few minutes.
Consistency builds the habit and helps the mind become more resilient.
Before we move on, do you have any tips for staying motivated with mindfulness practice?
Remember why you started? Keep a journal of how you feel before and after practice. Celebrate small improvements.
That's a great idea. Tracking progress can be so encouraging.
And be patient. Mindfulness is subtle, its benefits grow over time.
Absolutely. Now, should we talk about how to apply mindfulness during emotional moments?
Yes, that's crucial. When emotions run high, mindfulness can prevent reactive behavior.
How can someone practice mindfulness in a heated moment?
First, pause. Take a few deep breaths. Notice what you're feeling physically and emotionally without trying to suppress it.
Name the emotion silently, like anger, fear, or sadness.
Then, ask yourself what this emotion is trying to tell you. Often, emotions carry messages about needs or boundaries.
This process helps you respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively.
Exactly, it creates a space between stimulus and response.
That space is powerful. It can transform conflicts into opportunities for understanding.
And it can help you stay calm even in difficult conversations.
This is such valuable insight. I hope our listeners try this the next time they feel overwhelmed.
Me too. Mindfulness in action is where real change happens.
Ready to explore more techniques? Or should we dive into applying mindfulness to daily routines?
Let's explore daily routines. Making mindfulness part of everyday life is key.
Perfect, let's keep going. Yes, please, incorporating mindfulness into everyday activities can really help make it a natural part of life.
Absolutely. Let's start with mindful eating. So many of us eat on autopilot, distracted by phones or TV.
Right. Mindful eating means slowing down and really paying attention to the taste, texture, and smell of your food.
Also noticing how hungry or full you feel before, during, and after eating.
This helps you enjoy your meals more and can even improve digestion.
Plus, it can prevent overeating because you're more in tune with your body's signals.
Another great example is mindful working. That might sound tricky with so many distractions.
It is, but even small moments of mindfulness can help. For example, before starting a task, take a few deep breaths to set your intention.
And if you notice your mind wandering or feeling stressed, pause briefly to refocus on the task.
Taking regular short breaks to stretch and breathe also refreshes your mind and body.
That's something many people overlook. It's not just about working harder, but working with awareness.
Exactly. Then there's mindful socializing, really being present with people.
Listening fully, without planning your next comment, or checking your phone.
Noticing nonverbal cues, the tone of voice, and emotions in the room.
This deepens connections and makes conversations more meaningful.
And it can reduce misunderstandings because you're fully tuned in.
What about mindfulness with technology? That's a big challenge today.
Great point. Setting intentional limits on screen time and taking digital detox moments can help.
Also, before checking your phone, pause and ask yourself why you're reaching for it.
Is it boredom, anxiety, or habit? This awareness can break mindless scrolling.
These small mindful choices add up over time to create healthier habits.
They do. And being mindful about sleep, creating a calming bedtime routine supports overall well-being.
Sleep is so important for mental clarity and emotional balance.
So true. Mindfulness can even help you fall asleep by quieting the mind.
I love how mindfulness touches every part of life: eating, working, socializing, resting.
That's why it's a lifestyle, not just a practice.
For listeners wanting to dive deeper, what resources or habits would you recommend to keep growing?
Journaling is powerful, writing down thoughts and reflections after mindfulness practice.
It helps track progress and brings insight into patterns.
Also, joining mindfulness groups or online communities can provide support and motivation.
Sharing experiences often makes the journey less lonely.
And reading books by mindfulness teachers like John Kabat-Zinn or Thich Nhat Hanh can deepen understanding.
Wonderful recommendations. This conversation has been so rich with practical wisdom.
I'm glad to share. Mindfulness has truly changed my life, and I hope it can do the same for others.
Me too. Let's keep exploring these topics with our listeners in future episodes.
Looking forward to it.
So, shall we pause here and let our listeners start trying some of these mindfulness techniques?
Sounds good. Practice makes progress.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining me, Jacob.
Thank you, Sophia. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you to everyone listening. Remember to be kind to yourself and take life one mindful moment at a time. Perfect. Since we've covered mindfulness in daily life, let's dive into how mindfulness can improve mental health. Jacob, can you share your thoughts on this?
Of course, mindfulness has been shown to reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression by helping people stay grounded and not get lost in negative thought loops.
That makes sense. When we're mindful, we observe thoughts rather than get swept away by them.
Exactly. It creates space to respond rather than react emotionally to difficult thoughts or feelings.
Can you explain how mindfulness affects the brain?
Sure, studies show that mindfulness strengthens areas of the brain involved in emotional regulation, like the prefrontal cortex, and reduces activity in the amygdala, which is the fear center.
So, it physically changes the brain to help us manage stress better.
Yes, that's one of the reasons it's so powerful. It literally rewires the brain for greater resilience.
Fascinating. Are there particular mindfulness techniques that work best for improving mental health?
Mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, and mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, MBCT, are two evidence-based programs with proven benefits.
What do those programs involve?
They combine meditation, body awareness, and gentle yoga to cultivate mindfulness and reduce stress and depression.
Sounds holistic and very effective.
They are. Plus, even informal mindfulness practices like mindful breathing or body scans can help manage anxiety day to day.
For someone struggling with mental health challenges, how would you recommend they start mindfulness?
Start small, even 1 or 2 minutes a day of focused breathing. And if emotions get intense, gently bring your focus back to your breath or body sensations.
That's reassuring. Mindfulness is accessible to everyone, no matter their situation.
Absolutely. And over time, it builds emotional strength and self-compassion.
Self-compassion is so important, especially when dealing with mental health.
It is. Mindfulness encourages kindness toward yourself, which can be healing.
Would you say mindfulness can complement traditional mental health treatments?
Definitely. It's often used alongside therapy and medication to enhance outcomes.
That's great to know. For listeners who want to learn more about mindfulness and mental health, what resources would you recommend?
Books like The Mindful Way Through Depression and apps that offer guided meditations focused on anxiety and mood.
Excellent suggestions. Shall we discuss some common misconceptions about mindfulness next?
Yes, that's a great idea.
One misconception is that mindfulness means clearing your mind completely.
Right. The goal isn't an empty mind, but rather awareness of whatever thoughts or feelings arise.
Another is that mindfulness is religious or spiritual.
While mindfulness has roots in Buddhism, it's secular and can be practiced by anyone, regardless of beliefs.
Good to clarify that for listeners who might feel hesitant.
Also, some think mindfulness is a quick fix. It takes consistent practice to experience lasting benefits.
That's an important point. Patience and persistence matter.
Yes. And mindfulness is about acceptance, not trying to change or fix your experiences.
That's beautifully put. Any final myths to address?
Some people think mindfulness means zoning out or daydreaming, but it's actually the opposite: full engagement with the present.
Thank you for clearing that up, Jacob. This conversation is so enlightening.
My pleasure. Mindfulness can really transform lives when understood well.
I'm excited to continue exploring this with you and our listeners.
Me too. What topic should we tackle next?
Maybe mindfulness and creativity. Or mindfulness in the workplace.
Both sound great. We can save those for upcoming episodes.
Perfect. For now, let's take a short mindful breathing break together.
Wonderful idea.
Everyone listening, close your eyes if you can. Take a deep breath in, hold, and exhale slowly. Repeat 2 more times.
Feel your body relax and your mind settle with each breath.
When you're ready, open your eyes and carry this calm with you.
Mindfulness is always available. It's a practice and a gift.
Thank you for joining us. We'll be back soon with more mindfulness insights.
Looking forward to it.
Great, let's move on to mindfulness and creativity. Jacob, how do you think mindfulness influences creative thinking?
Mindfulness can enhance creativity by helping people break free from habitual thought patterns and access fresh ideas.
That's interesting. So being present allows the mind to notice things it might usually overlook.
Exactly. When you're mindful, you're more open and curious, which fuels creative insight.
Does mindfulness help overcome creative blocks?
It does. Instead of stressing about a block, mindfulness teaches acceptance, which reduces anxiety and lets ideas flow more naturally.
That's powerful. What mindfulness exercises can boost creativity?
Practices like open monitoring meditation encourage noticing all sensations and thoughts without judgment, which can spark new connections.
How about mindful journaling or sketching?
Those are fantastic. Writing or drawing mindfully, focusing fully on the process, can unlock deeper creativity.
What role does self-compassion play in creative work?
A big one. Being kind to yourself when ideas don't come easily keeps motivation high and reduces fear of failure.
I think many creatives struggle with perfectionism and self-doubt.
Mindfulness helps by reminding you that those thoughts are just mental events, not facts.
So mindfulness creates a safe mental space to experiment and take risks.
Yes, exactly. It cultivates a playful and non-judgmental attitude toward the creative process.
For our listeners who want to try mindfulness to boost creativity, what would be a simple starting point?
Start by dedicating 5 minutes a day to simply observing your thoughts without trying to change them.
And maybe keep a creativity journal to jot down any ideas that come up during mindfulness.
That's a great tip. Sometimes the best ideas come when the mind is relaxed and present.
I love that. How do you personally integrate mindfulness into your creative projects?
Before starting, I do a short breathing exercise to clear mental clutter. During work, if I feel stuck, I pause and bring awareness back to my senses.
That sounds effective. Do you recommend mindfulness for team creativity too?
Definitely. Group mindfulness sessions can improve collaboration and open communication.
This could be a game changer for workplaces and creative teams.
It is. Mindfulness nurtures empathy and patience, which are essential for teamwork.
Speaking of workplaces, should we explore mindfulness in professional settings next?
Let's do it. It's an important topic many listeners will relate to.
Perfect. In the workplace, stress and distractions are huge challenges.
Mindfulness helps employees manage stress and stay focused on tasks.
Are there simple ways to practice mindfulness at work?
Yes. For example, starting meetings with a minute of mindful breathing or taking mindful walking breaks.
That could improve team energy and clarity.
Absolutely. Also, mindful listening during conversations helps reduce misunderstandings.
What about managing multitasking?
Mindfulness encourages single tasking, focusing fully on one thing at a time, which boosts productivity and quality.
That's a lesson for all of us in this age of constant notifications.
For sure, mindfulness also supports emotional intelligence, helping leaders respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively.
So mindfulness benefits not only individuals but entire organizational culture.
Yes, it fosters a healthier, more supportive, and creative work environment.
For listeners, are there workplace mindfulness programs or apps you recommend?
Apps like Headspace and Calm offer quick exercises suitable for office breaks.
And companies like Google and Aetna have implemented mindfulness programs with great results.
Yes, showing it's becoming mainstream and recognized for its value.
This conversation is so rich. Should we pause here for a mindful break before continuing?
Sounds good to me.
Everyone, close your eyes if you can. Take a deep breath in and out. Focus on your breath for a minute, letting go of any tension.
Feel your body relax and your mind clear. When ready, gently open your eyes.
Wonderful. We'll keep exploring more mindfulness topics after this break.
Looking forward to it.
Let's dive deeper into mindfulness in the workplace then. Jacob, what do you think are the biggest obstacles employees face when trying to practice mindfulness at work?
One major obstacle is time pressure. Many people feel they're too busy or stressed to pause and be mindful.
That's true. The pace of work can make it feel impossible to slow down.
Exactly. Another challenge is workplace culture. If mindfulness isn't supported or understood by management, employees might hesitate to practice it openly.
So organizational buy-in is crucial for mindfulness programs to succeed.
Yes, leadership support can create a safe space for mindfulness, making it part of the company culture.
How can managers encourage mindfulness among their teams?
By modeling mindful behavior themselves, like taking mindful pauses and showing empathy, and by providing resources and time for mindfulness practice.
That sounds like a positive approach. What about technology? Can it help or hinder workplace mindfulness?
Both. Apps and reminders can support mindfulness, but constant notifications and multitasking tempt employees to stay distracted.
Finding balance is key then.
Absolutely. Setting boundaries around technology use is part of mindful work.
Are there any success stories of companies that have transformed through mindfulness?
Yes, companies like Aetna reported reduced healthcare costs and increased employee productivity after implementing mindfulness training.
That's impressive. It shows mindfulness has measurable benefits beyond individual well-being.
Definitely, it improves morale, reduces burnout, and fosters creativity and collaboration.
What advice would you give to someone wanting to start mindfulness at work, but feeling skeptical?
Start small and be curious. Try a minute of mindful breathing before a meeting or when feeling stressed. Notice any changes in your mood or focus.
And share your experiences with colleagues who might be interested.
Exactly. Building a community makes it easier and more fun.
Great points. How can mindfulness help in handling difficult conversations at work?
Mindfulness encourages listening fully without immediately reacting. It helps you respond thoughtfully rather than defensively.
That could reduce conflicts and improve relationships.
Yes, it builds emotional intelligence and empathy.
How can employees maintain mindfulness throughout a hectic workday?
By taking brief mindful moments like pausing to notice breath or sensations, and by practicing self-compassion when things get tough.
Self-compassion again. It seems central to mindfulness.
It is. It helps us accept imperfections and reduces stress.
For managers, how can mindfulness improve leadership?
Mindful leaders are more present, patient, and open, which inspires trust and better decision making.
So mindfulness can transform leadership styles.
Yes, from reactive to responsive leadership.
Listeners, what would you say to encourage your teams to try mindfulness?
Emphasize that mindfulness is a skill everyone can develop to improve focus, reduce stress, and enhance well being.
Thanks, Jacob. Before we move on, shall we do a quick mindful check-in?
Everyone listening, pause for a moment. Take a deep breath in and out. Notice how you feel right now, without judgment.
Great. Carry that awareness with you as we continue.
Ready for the next topic.
Yes, let's talk about mindfulness and relationships. How mindfulness can deepen connections.
I love that. Mindfulness in relationships means being fully present with others, truly listening without distraction.
That's something many people struggle with today.
Yes, multitasking and digital distractions often prevent us from giving loved ones our full attention.
How does mindfulness improve communication?
It helps us listen deeply, notice nonverbal cues, and respond with kindness instead of reacting emotionally.
That can prevent misunderstandings and conflicts.
Exactly. Mindfulness also fosters empathy by allowing us to feel what others might be experiencing.
Can mindfulness help with difficult conversations in relationships?
Yes, it creates space to stay calm and open, even when topics are challenging.
What about mindfulness in romantic relationships specifically?
Being present with your partner during conversations and activities strengthens intimacy and trust.
That's beautiful. How can couples practice mindfulness together?
Simple things like mindful breathing, sharing a meal without distractions, or doing a meditation together.
Mindful presence is a gift to each other.
Absolutely, it shows care and respect.
What advice would you give to someone wanting to bring mindfulness into their family life?
Start by noticing moments of connection, like playing with kids or chatting with a partner, and be fully there.
That's something everyone can do right away.
Yes, mindfulness is accessible and practical.
For listeners who want to deepen their relationships with mindfulness, what resources would you recommend?
Books like The Mindful Path to Self-Compassion and online couples mindfulness courses.
Wonderful suggestions. Shall we pause for another mindful breathing exercise before continuing?
Let's do it.
Close your eyes, take a deep breath in, hold it, and exhale slowly. Repeat twice more.
Feel your heart open and your mind settle.
Open your eyes when ready.
We'll explore more on mindfulness in social and family relationships next.
Let's keep exploring mindfulness in social and family relationships. Jacob, how does mindfulness affect parenting?
Mindful parenting helps parents respond rather than react to their children's behavior, creating a calmer and more supportive environment.
That must make a huge difference in family dynamics.
Absolutely. When parents are mindful, they listen with full attention, which helps children feel seen and understood.
Does mindfulness reduce parental stress as well?
Yes, it helps parents manage their own emotions and maintain patience during challenging moments.
Are there simple mindfulness practices parents can do with their kids?
Definitely. Mindful breathing exercises, mindful listening games, or simply sharing gratitude at the end of the day.
That sounds lovely and practical. How can mindfulness help siblings get along better?
It encourages empathy and reduces impulsive reactions, so siblings can communicate and resolve conflicts more peacefully.
Do you think mindfulness can strengthen friendships too?
For sure, mindfulness improves communication and presence, which deepens trust and connection.
In our fast-paced world, that's more important than ever.
Yes, because quality time matters more than quantity.
What challenges do people face when trying to be mindful in relationships?
Distractions, past judgments, and habitual reactions often get in the way.
How can we overcome those challenges?
By practicing self-awareness and patience, it's a skill that develops over time.
For listeners who want to start practicing mindfulness with loved ones, what would you recommend?
Begin with small moments of shared presence, put away phones during meals, or have a mindful walk together.
Those simple steps can build a strong foundation.
Exactly. Mindfulness is about cultivating connection step by step.
What role does forgiveness play in mindful relationships?
Forgiveness frees us from resentment and opens the heart to healing.
Mindfulness can help us see situations more clearly and compassionately.
Yes, it reduces emotional reactivity and helps us choose kindness.
How about setting boundaries mindfully?
Mindfulness supports clear and respectful communication of needs and limits.
That's so important for healthy relationships.
Absolutely. Mindfulness balances compassion with self-care.
As we explore these ideas, how do you personally practice mindfulness in your close relationships?
I try to really listen without planning my response and to notice when I'm distracted, then gently bring my attention back.
That's a wonderful practice. How about conflicts? How can mindfulness help during arguments?
Mindfulness teaches us to pause before reacting, to breathe, and to respond with calmness.
So it prevents escalation.
Yes, and it helps each person feel heard and respected.
What advice would you give to couples struggling to communicate mindfully?
Start with small steps like agreeing to pause if emotions run high and to listen fully when the other speaks.
That can rebuild trust over time.
Definitely, consistency is key.
For families with busy schedules, how can mindfulness fit in?
Integrate it into daily routines, mindful brushing of teeth, mindful eating, or a bedtime gratitude moment.
Those little moments add up.
They create a mindful atmosphere in the home.
Before we move on, shall we guide our listeners through a mindful connection exercise?
Yes, let's do a loving kindness meditation focused on relationships.
Close your eyes, take a deep breath. Silently repeat, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be peaceful. Now think of someone you love. Repeat, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be peaceful.
Continue breathing deeply, sending kindness to yourself and others.
Open your eyes when ready, carrying that warmth with you.
Mindfulness helps us nurture the relationships that matter most.
Shall we continue exploring how mindfulness influences mental health next?
That sounds perfect. It's closely connected.
Let's dive into mindfulness and mental health. Jacob, how does mindfulness contribute to better mental health?
Mindfulness helps by increasing awareness of thoughts and feelings without judgment, which reduces anxiety and depression.
So it changes our relationship with stress.
Exactly. Instead of getting overwhelmed, mindfulness teaches us to observe stress calmly.
That sounds empowering. Can mindfulness help with chronic mental health conditions?
Yes, mindfulness-based therapies like MBCT have been shown to reduce relapse rates in depression and help with PTSD and other disorders.
What about everyday stress and burnout?
Mindfulness improves resilience, allowing people to bounce back faster from daily challenges.
How does practicing mindfulness affect brain function?
Studies show increased activity in areas related to attention, emotional regulation, and self-awareness.
So regular mindfulness practice literally reshapes the brain.
Yes, neuroplasticity means the brain can change, and mindfulness promotes positive changes.
That's incredible. What's a good way for beginners to start mindfulness for mental health?
Simple breathing exercises, body scans, or guided meditations can be very effective.
How often should someone practice to see benefits?
Even 5 to 10 minutes daily can make a difference, with consistency being more important than duration.
What role does self-compassion play in mindfulness and mental health?
Self-compassion helps reduce self-criticism and fosters emotional healing.
How can listeners incorporate self-compassion into their mindfulness practice?
By gently noticing harsh thoughts and replacing them with kindness and understanding.
What challenges might people face when starting mindfulness for mental health?
Difficulty focusing, impatience, or discomfort with emotions can arise.
How can they overcome those obstacles?
By approaching practice with curiosity and patience, allowing experiences to unfold without pressure.
Are there any risks or cautions listeners should be aware of?
Sometimes mindfulness can bring up difficult emotions. It's important to seek professional support if needed.
Good point. For those interested, what resources would you recommend?
Apps like Headspace or Calm, books like The Miracle of Mindfulness, and online courses can be helpful.
How can mindfulness complement other mental health treatments?
It works well alongside therapy and medication by empowering individuals with coping skills.
That holistic approach is encouraging. Can mindfulness also improve sleep?
Yes, it calms the mind and body, making it easier to fall and stay asleep.
What mindfulness techniques work best for better sleep?
Body scans, progressive muscle relaxation, and mindful breathing are very effective.
How can mindfulness help with emotional regulation?
It increases awareness of emotions early on, so people can choose how to respond rather than react impulsively.
That skill can improve relationships and personal well-being.
Absolutely. Emotional regulation is key to mental health.
What about mindfulness for children and teens?
It helps them develop focus, self-awareness, and coping skills from a young age.
How can parents introduce mindfulness to their kids?
Through playful activities, storytelling, and short breathing exercises,
Are schools incorporating mindfulness now?
many are, with programs designed to reduce stress and improve learning.
That's a hopeful trend. How can listeners stay motivated with mindfulness practice?
Setting realistic goals, joining groups, and remembering that every small moment counts.
What's your personal favorite mindfulness practice for mental health?
Mindful walking, connecting with nature, and my senses really centers me.
That sounds wonderful. How can listeners create a mindfulness-friendly environment at home?
Designate a quiet, comfortable space, free of distractions, for practice.
Before we continue, let's do a quick mindful breathing break together.
Great idea. Breathe in slowly for 4 seconds, hold for 4, and exhale for 6. Repeat twice more.
Notice how your body feels more relaxed and your mind more present.
Carry that calm with you as we explore the next topic.
Would you like to explore mindfulness in creativity, productivity, or another area next?
Creativity sounds exciting. Let's go with that.
Wonderful. Let's dive into how mindfulness enhances creativity. Jacob, what's the connection between mindfulness and creative thinking?
Mindfulness quiets the mental chatter and opens space for new ideas to emerge, boosting creativity.
So it helps clear the mind.
Yes, by focusing on the present moment, we reduce distractions and allow our brain to connect ideas more freely.
Does mindfulness help overcome creative blocks?
Absolutely. Instead of forcing ideas, mindfulness encourages acceptance, which often leads to breakthroughs.
That's really powerful. How does mindfulness influence problem-solving skills?
It improves cognitive flexibility, allowing us to see problems from different perspectives.
Can mindfulness be used in group creative work?
Yes, mindful listening and presence improve collaboration and idea sharing.
What mindfulness exercises would you recommend for boosting creativity?
Practices like open awareness meditation, where you observe thoughts without judgment, can stimulate fresh thinking.
How about incorporating mindfulness into daily creative routines?
Starting work with a few minutes of mindful breathing or setting an intention can focus the mind.
Can mindfulness help manage the pressure and anxiety that often come with creative projects?
Definitely. Mindfulness reduces stress and keeps us grounded, so creativity flows more naturally.
What role does curiosity play in mindfulness and creativity?
Curiosity fuels exploration and openness, which mindfulness nurtures by encouraging non-judgmental awareness.
How can listeners develop a more curious and mindful mindset?
By practicing noticing new details in everyday life and welcoming all experiences with openness.
That sounds inspiring. What are some common myths about mindfulness and creativity?
One is that mindfulness is only about relaxation, but it's really about awareness and presence that fuel creativity.
How can people balance mindfulness with the need for productivity?
By using mindfulness to stay focused and reduce multitasking, improving quality over quantity.
Are there famous creative figures known for practicing mindfulness?
Yes, artists like John Lennon and writers like Thich Nhat Hanh have integrated mindfulness into their creative lives.
How does mindfulness impact the creative flow state?
It helps us enter flow by quieting self-criticism and fully immersing in the task.
Can mindfulness be combined with other creative techniques?
Yes, combining mindfulness with brainstorming, journaling, or sketching enhances creativity.
How can mindfulness help with creative confidence?
It reduces fear of failure by teaching acceptance and kindness toward oneself.
What role does patience play in mindful creativity?
Patience allows ideas to develop naturally without forcing or rushing.
What advice would you give to someone struggling to find time for mindfulness and creativity?
Even short daily practices and integrating mindfulness into existing routines make a difference.
How can listeners track their creative growth through mindfulness?
Journaling experiences and noticing shifts in awareness and ideas helps monitor progress.
What's your favorite mindfulness practice to spark creativity?
I love nature walks, where I pay close attention to sights and sounds without judgment.
That sounds like a perfect blend of mindfulness and inspiration.
It truly is. Nature naturally stimulates creativity when we are fully present.
Would you like to guide our listeners through a short mindful creativity exercise now?
Yes, let's do a visualization to open creative channels.
Close your eyes and take a deep breath. Imagine a blank canvas. Picture colors, shapes, or ideas flowing freely onto it without judgment.
Allow your mind to explore possibilities without trying to control or analyze.
When you're ready, gently open your eyes, carrying that openness into your creative projects.
Mindfulness nurtures creativity by inviting curiosity and presence.
Shall we continue exploring mindfulness and productivity next?
Yes, that would be great.
Perfect. Let's explore mindfulness and productivity. Jacob, how does mindfulness improve productivity?
Mindfulness increases focus and reduces distractions, helping us work more efficiently.
So it's about quality, not just quantity.
Exactly. Mindful work means being fully present with each task, which leads to better results.
How can mindfulness help with procrastination?
By bringing awareness to procrastination habits, we can gently address underlying fears or resistance.
What simple mindfulness techniques can listeners use to boost productivity?
Techniques like single tasking mindful breathing breaks and setting clear intentions work well.
How does mindfulness affect time management?
It helps us prioritize tasks and notice when we're wasting time on unimportant activities.
Can mindfulness be practiced at work or in busy environments?
Yes, even a few mindful breaths or a moment of awareness can reset focus during hectic days.
How does mindfulness reduce work-related stress?
By helping us stay calm and centered, we respond rather than react to pressure.
What role does self-compassion play in mindful productivity?
It prevents burnout by encouraging kindness toward ourselves when we face challenges.
How can listeners build a sustainable mindfulness routine for better productivity?
Start small, be consistent, and integrate mindfulness naturally into daily tasks.
What's your favorite mindfulness tip for staying productive?
I recommend the Pomodoro technique combined with mindful pauses to refresh focus.
That's a great practical approach. How can mindfulness improve creativity within productivity?
Mindfulness creates mental space for ideas, making productivity more innovative.
What advice would you give to someone overwhelmed by too many tasks?
Break tasks into smaller steps and approach each mindfully, focusing on one thing at a time.
Before we wrap up, any final thoughts on mindfulness and mental well-being?
Mindfulness is a journey, not a destination. It enriches life by bringing awareness, calm, and connection.
Thank you so much, Jacob, for sharing your insights today.
It's been a pleasure, Sophia. I hope listeners find mindfulness a helpful tool in their lives.
And thank you to everyone listening to the English Hour. Remember to take moments for mindfulness each day.
Stay curious, stay present, and keep growing.
Until next time, take care and keep practicing mindfulness.